Huva Iltapavaya, Boris. At least I believe that's the way it's said. By the way, any news on the Finnish Danish game? Have they decided it'll be rescheduled, or is the Finnish team just so scary that they're scaring their opponents to death? Or the world wants to know that that guy's okay. Ericsson, I guess his name is. Coffee and a bowl of amphora burley. Sounds good. That way it can be an official bowl call. Sutliff creamy butterscotch. Of course, in a country gentleman. And a cup of coffee. Coffee's about the same color as my daughter-in-law. Maybe a little darker, but not by much. Okay, so they gave Finland the game, and did Christian Eriksen live? Last time I heard anything reported, he was, well, it was from you. They got him resuscitated, but don't know if he lived or not. Oh, okay. England versus Croatia now. I got a feeling England's going to win that one. They're not up against the Finnish team. Oh, okay. So they didn't actually like just go back and reschedule. They just like, oh, okay, we'll pick it up. We'll go back and start it again. Did they restart, or did they just start from that point in time? Howdy, Gary. How are you, sir? Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. Croatia does have a decent team, um, but I think the English play style is going to be detrimental to the Croatian team. It just seems like it's going to be the English team has a certain set of techniques that work really well against the Croatian team, and it's not something that they have to put in there last second and practice a lot. Uh, it's just one of those. It's from the way they've been playing for a long time. So, uh, when you, my opinion, when you can know your job, you don't have to think about it, and you know where the players are going to be when you pass the ball, this, that, the other. All of that comes into play at this level. And I've just got a feeling that England's really going to be easily able to handle up on the Croatian team. All right, so they started from the same game from where it was stopped. But Finland won fairly and legally, even though they did have a long time down for almost death in the family, so to speak. Well, Gary, that's what I'm betting. And in case y'all are looking at the title of this, I don't know, but it's really dark on my screen too. Maybe my American phone doesn't like your English flag. Not my fault. I didn't program it. I don't know. It's all black now, though. Somebody burnt up your white cross flag. Boris got it somehow. I don't know. Hey. I have noticed that there is no Texas flag that shows up. The closest you can get to the Texas flag is Chile. I have a very furry cat coming over here to see me. Alright, he's not really coming over to see me. He's going to patiently wait by the door, and then if I don't get up and hurry up and let him in, he's going to go find something to piss on once he gets inside. And yes, it's Trump. Damn cat. Come here. Come here. Look at that big monster. He's as furry as they get. +15 pounds of heavyweight cat. And in case y'all are wondering about how I call him Trump, yes, I actually do call him Trump. Because when he first showed up over here, his hair was real thin, and it was a comb over, and it looked a lot like a certain person's hairpiece. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. And I made mention that it looks like Donald Trump's hairpiece. And then he stuck around. And, so when I would call him Trump. And he answered to it. I mean, he would come up to me when I'd call him that way. So it stuck. And I don't like him being out too much in the heat of summer. Because with that thick fur coat, he can't handle the heat. He does just fine in the cold, though. Oh, so good. Coffee in a pipe first thing in the morning. Actually, it's not truly my first thing in the morning for me. I've been up since about 11:15 last night. They're all asleep, Gary. They're all asleep. Most of America right now is 9:15 or later. And it's on a Sunday morning, so a lot of people are not going to get up. But I know Europeans and I know Australians. And I got a feeling that they were up. So I took a guess and said, you know what? I'm awake. I'm going to have a pipe. According to my little thing, it says there's 3 of us in here. That's actually 3 more than I expected to see. Yeah. A lot of Americans really do not get up early unless they have to. And then, I'm not saying all, just saying a lot of them. Yeah, but Boris, you probably had that big beard and those big brawny shoulders and hands that look like they can just crush a man's skull. Nobody's gonna mess with you. Light that pipe and proudly smoke it and cheer for whatever team you are cheering for. Smoking fireman. Howdy, sir. Now, see, there's a profession where the guys don't sleep well, and they get up at all hours of the day just because their body says, I've had enough sleep. Firemen, policemen, first responders in general. So I've got a story similar to that, Gary. In Texas, there's really only two seasons. There's baseball season and football season. You just have to take my word for it. And I was working in a place right off the side of Dallas called Fort Worth. Most of us have heard of it. And that night, I found out that the Texas Rangers from Arlington, which is right in between Dallas and Fort Worth, and the Houston Astros from kind of like my own home area, we're going to be playing. It's opening day. Rangers had a decent team, and my team sucked. Something fierce. The Rangers put their ace pitcher up there, and he pitched a almost perfect game. It got to the ninth inning, 2 down, and he just accidentally lobs a little softball right there in front of a guy named Marwin Gonzalez, who nails it, puts it right between the pitcher's legs practically, and right off, it dribbles right out past second base. So he gets on. Look, one batter later, game was over. But I was like, yes! Because my team didn't get no hits, and they didn't get a perfect game against them. But they were playing there, and I was in a restaurant up there, and man, the whole restaurant kind of got quiet. Yeah. It was a little dicey there for a second. Okay, so Smoking Fireman put up the bowl call. Oh, but I already rang the bell, so I'm not going to do it again. But I am smoking Sutliff Creamy Butterscotch, because it's not bad. It's different. Am I going to say, oh my God, you got to try this? No, I'm not. But it's not bad. Howdy, Mr. Freeze. How are you doing today, sir? Just finished a bowl of Rustica. That sounds like a good plan. Of course, I like to smoke a something kind of light in the morning if I'm going to be switching it up. Mostly because I can always get stronger throughout the day. In case y'all are wondering, there's A little bit of that goo. The one problem I don't like about this Sutliff butterscotch is it leaves a little bit of a tar residue all over the bowl. I keep having to trim that down. Don't know, Boris. I don't know. But I'll go find the Faroe Islands flag. That way I can see it when this is over. Yes, Gary, I do agree. Fighting over a leather ball or what happens out there on the field is pretty ridiculous. But it happens here in the United States too. Believe me that it does. Recently, here in the Houston area, it even happened for a baseball game. Astros versus the Dodgers. Dodgers fans are still upset that they got beat in 2017, and they keep saying, "Oh, y'all cheated." Man, get over it. That was 4 years ago now. You'll live. Here's the funny thing. Let me just reiterate this as a statement of fact. Stealing a catcher's signs has been a part of baseball since they put the first B in the name of it. It's just that it was done electronically, and so therefore people got all upset about it. But the Astros were not the only team doing it. That's been proven. Am I saying that it's right? No, I'm not. But let's look at when the rule goes into the rule book and go from there. The rule goes into the rule book before the start of the 2018 season. That's important because the 2017 Astros won the World Series, doing something that is now considered cheating. But the rule goes into effect in 2018 before the start of the 2018 season. And there's no proof that they did it from that point on. Now, here's my issue. Let's imagine that you grew up being an outdoorsy kind of kid, like I did. You would drink from water hoses. If you had to pee, you'd just run over into a corner of somebody's yard and pee, or behind a tree somewhere, or off the edge of a cliff just to see how far it could fall. You would do these things because it was no big deal. No law against it, right? Well, let's say a couple of years later that somebody decides that you can no longer drink from a water hose or spit in an open field or pee where you've been peeing for years. And that is suddenly, it's the law now. So you decide you're not going to do it anymore because it's now the law. And they decide to go back to the time when you were a kid and toss your ass in jail because when you were a kid, you did all this stuff that breaks the current law that went into effect until after you had already done it. So, when the rule goes into effect, that's when it becomes the rule. You want to find somebody or treat them like they're cheating for something that they did before it became a rule, well then that's on y'all to consider yourselves why you would have to worry about it. It would be like England going out and deciding to fine somebody for carrying a pocket knife in 1980. I'm pretty certain that you could do that in 1980. You might not be able to do it now, but you sure as hell could do it back in 1980. Just my thoughts on the subject. Yes, Boris, I agree with you completely. They want to call the Astros a bunch of cheaters. That's all that they want to say about the Astros. Oh, y'all only won because you cheated. Really? Let's also look at the 2017 series, or the whole season. Yeah, Gary. Carry a pocket knife around now in England and you're in for all kind of problems. Hell, don't even butter your toast in public. It could get you arrested. Mr. Freeze, there were trucks in my high school. Well, my high school wasn't built until 1980 something. But I do remember there were still trucks in the parking lot. Both schools, teachers and students with gun racks and shotguns. I mean, sure, that's not legal anymore, but it was done back in the day. Nobody said nothing about it. But let's see something else that was actually able to be done back in the day. if you had a dispute with somebody and it couldn't be settled nicely, you could actually just start wailing on each other. And it was nothing more than a little detention. Nowadays, they'll suspend the students and then they'll try to arrest the parents. How in the hell does that make sense? I'm not going to teach my kid to just take a beating so that I don't get arrested. Hell no. I'll tell my kid straight out, kill that motherfucker, because if I'm going to jail for it, you might as well make it worth it. Of course, people might not believe the way I do. And my son's 27 and in the Air Force, so I don't have to worry about such things. And he was just on the other side of where it all got safe spaces and everything else. Gary, I would love to see the Brits decide to take their country back from a corrupt government that has decided to do such crazy things as tell people that you cannot remove your own children from the hospital to try and go seek alternative medicine somewhere else. What? I can't take my family out of this hospital? How y'all doing today? Doing well, doing well.
Good. Good day.
Oh yeah. And there's been more than one case of it. It's something that I heard. But I would love to see the British be able to say, you know what? You're telling me that I can't have my own child to go seek alternative medicine in France, but you're also telling me that he's a lost cause and we're not going to treat him at all here in Britain? I'm taking my kid to France. Now see, as an American and as a father, I'm sitting there thinking, if I have a 0.01% chance that my child might survive if I go, and I have a 0 chance that my child will survive if I stay, I'm taking that chance because I want my child to live. It's just an interesting thing. Oh, and we're going to throw you in jail for somehow inciting a riot because you agreed with somebody's statement on Twitter. Not because you actually did anything other than you clicked the like button. There's actually no proof that you clicked the like button. But it says you clicked the like button, so we could throw your ass in jail. Wait a second. You can't fly your flags, as in your team flags or your country flag. They wouldn't like my answer to either one of those. It doesn't matter. But if it's your country flag you can't fly, I would tell them to go kiss my ass, because there's no damn way I am... Really? They won't let you fly your own country's flag? Point them to a border of your country and say, go and keep going until you leave where this is the flag of the land. And I've said the same thing right here in the United States. You can't fly that American flag. Motherfucker, watch me. I guarantee it's going to stay up. And around here, as soon as they say that I can't, a bigger one's going up. I'm going to make sure. And then I'll put a Texas flag right next to it, and I'll put all 5 branches of military next to it. I don't think Space Force has a flag yet, and that might get canceled by current administration. I have no idea. Of course, that's the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard. I'd put all of those flags up. POWMIA, man, I'd have a whole list of flags. I'd put permanent flag poles up that they cannot tear down. There would be some major crap going on. There'd be no way they could even hope to get me to be silent. And then the other side of it is, they know there's the door, there's the sidewalk. As long as it's in my property, it's still part of my property. They decide to destroy my property, I'll fight back. They know that. So, yeah, you know, giving in to these people who can't grow a pair and become adult and say, you know what, the only person with a problem with this is me. I can find some place to be where it isn't a problem. But no, not anymore. Anymore it's, oh, I got a problem with it, and I'm going to make sure that everybody else feels my pain. It's fucking bullshit. At best, it's bullshit. Colleges have safe spaces for kids that are 18 to 25. But back in 1945, 18s down to 15 were out there fighting this thing called World War II. I know what kind of man I would want to be. I wouldn't want to be the kind that's going to need everybody else to protect me. I can protect myself just fine, thank you. Well, Gary, I don't hate my country because of my corrupt government. I just hate the corrupt government. People want to challenge me on that statement, they're welcome. They realistically know that there's no way to challenge me on that statement. What's the best they can do? Cry and complain about it? Watch me laugh at them? I like the free world. I like the British. I like the Australians. I don't like their lack of belief in firearms. Comes down to that same old-fashioned story that I like to remind people. If the government goes so corrupt that you can no longer possibly live there in good conscience as a human that lives on this earth, then it is really difficult for you, the average people, to do much other than cry about it. Whereas, almost always, when a government decides that they are going to snap all the guns up, some sort of crazy sort of bullshit happens at a school or some function where there's lots of kids, and then suddenly it's all about save the children. Texting and driving kills more children every year than firearms. Huh. Save the children. Mosquitoes kill 8 times the number of people that firearms do every year. Funny. But guns are bad because anybody can get a gun. No, not anybody. Common sense gun laws. So the gun laws that are already there are not common sense? Well, the Second Amendment is only talking about muskets. So write your theory on a piece of parchment on quill and ink and send it by Pony Express. Oh, by the way, you should Google puckle gun before you decide that you need to terminate all social media because it's no longer protected by the First Amendment. Well, Gary, here in Texas, if a burglar breaks in, I call 911 and tell them to send the medical examiner because you don't need the police to bring this guy to the morgue. After a very short investigation, they'll probably give me my firearm back. I will have to turn the firearm over to them until the investigation is over. Don't worry, I've got multiples. Oh, you just need this one. Is it unloaded? Yeah, I unloaded it real well. Did you have to shoot him to dull rags? I was just unloading the gun, officer. I knew you'd want it. The dead will not sue me. The family of the dead won't be able to sue me either because Texas actually has laws preventing that. Not every place in the United States does, but Texas does. That's why I love Texas. Okay, I also live less than 2 city blocks from the police station. They might be able to save his life if they show up. But for that to have happened, that means the guy who broke in has got to call 911 on himself. Hey, I broke into this house and I think the owner's going to shoot me. If it's this house, don't think it, know it for fact. I got a wife and a mother-in-law to think about. I ain't gonna worry about you. You break into this house, you're dead. Gary, it just comes down to when the laws no longer make sense to anybody except for to protect the criminals, you have to wonder why the laws are there to protect the criminals. Now, I mean, I understand, look, if public lynching is no longer legal because criminals even still have some rights. Yeah, Gary, that wouldn't work for me. The local police know me well enough also that they know if I've called 911 and said send the police, that they've got all day to get here because the crime scene ain't going nowhere. My only issue is, after a certain amount of time, the body starts to smell and blood tends to get on things, and I want to be able to clean up at some point and patch walls if I missed any. If maybe I hit them just right the first shot and missed the second as they fell. There's the possibility. Though they're actually luckier if I use the guns. With the guns, they're probably just going to die quick. If I get a hold of a sword or a knife because I don't have a gun in hand or right nearby, then it's a long time dying. And if they live from that, God bless them, because nobody else will. Well, unless I happen to be behind him, because then it's just reach up, done. That's quick, and uh, from what I understand, it's probably still really painful, but it's quick. But fully run through with a sword, right in the guts area, I hear you can live for days even with proper medical care. They're probably not going to be able to do much of anything. Yeah. Yeah, I've got swords. They're mostly for show, but I know how to sharpen swords, so I've done that. Everybody's just like, oh, cute. It's a display of swords there on the wall. Yeah, it is. Except for, yeah. Really? Soccer players had a heart attack. Kind of reminds me of my father-in-law. My father-in-law. He played hockey. And the day he died, he was playing hockey at the time. Quite literally, scored the winning goal, started to skate back towards center ice, put his hands up like this, turned gray, and was gone. Well, Gary, in the version of sword or knife, they got to be real damn fast. And in the version of gun, I'm not letting them get close enough that they can get a hold of it. I'm not walking up to them and saying, sit down and tie yourself up. No, I'm just shooting. And even worse for them is that it's a 2-story house. The only door that they could possibly come through without making a crap ton of noise is the front door. If they make any noise at all, I'll hear them and be at the balcony about the same time they open the door. I'll let them get just enough inside so that when they get shot, they don't fall all the way outside. Because that's technically the legal aspects of it. Meaning, if you hit them with a shotgun, you got to make sure they don't fall back outside. And if they happen to fall back outside, make sure to drag them in before the blood gets all over the place. Because you got to make sure to clean all that up that's on the outside. Otherwise, it's technically not legal. Guy broke in my door. I shot him with a shotgun. I didn't wait for him to get 3 steps in, and he fell back outside, officer. Yeah, well, now it's a criminal investigation on you instead of on the guy who broke in. Hey, know the law. Know the law. That is very true, Boris. Now, here's the crazy part. My father-in-law died playing hockey. There was a flight surgeon from NASA on the ice with him. And they had the automatic defibrillator things right there at the rink, and they used them. And the hospital's only like 3 minutes by ambulance. And he was on the hospital like 5 minutes after he fell over. But according to them, he had one of those widowmaker heart attacks that there's no way to know that it was going to happen, and then it just got him. Kind of really sad. I am happy that Erickson lived. I am. I mean, I don't know the guy, but I wouldn't wish ill upon anybody. I wouldn't even wish ill upon somebody who broke into my house. I would just do what needs to be done. Their ill wishes towards me is what caused their karma. You know, strangely enough, professional sports players, a lot of them have done crazy cocktails of this, that, the other to stay in contention. And sometimes it's fatal. I'm not saying that the chemicals or whatever that they might be taking or ingesting or whatever are not legal. But sometimes it's just not smart. So where were they playing that game, Boris? Was that in Finland or was that in where are the Danes from? Belgium? Is that Belgium? That is also very true, Boris. Sometimes in the process of exerting yourself to become the peak of physical performance, you've actually caused something that would have remained completely hidden for forever to progress to the forefront. Whether it be a slightly leaky valve in your heart or a breathing issue you never even knew you had or whatever. Well, the hospitals are pretty good in Copenhagen. Now, I'll say this. When people in Houston hear about other countries, a lot of the time what we hear on the news is something about medical. And that's because Houston has the largest medical community on the planet. Now, don't be thinking that I'm just saying that it's the largest because this is Texas. No, this is actually provable fact. And it's not a single hospital. There's actually larger singular hospitals. And the Houston community gets overlooked a lot because there's hospitals out there that have multiple specializations. Okay, I agree with that statement too. I understand. Houston has individual hospitals for just about every little thing. It's crazy insane how many hospitals we have in Houston that all specialize in one specific thing. I mean, you need a heart transplant, you want to go to the DeBakey Heart Hospital. You're somebody famous and you get shot in the head, it's fatal everywhere else, you're going to Houston if you're going to survive. Yes, sudden adult death syndrome. I've heard of such quite often, and I'm willing to bet that your wife's cousin also snored. So he had a snoring issue, and it might have been undiagnosed sleep apnea. Yeah, Boris, cross-country skiing is one of the most physically demanding sports on the planet. I mean, there's a lot that goes into cross-country skiing, especially those ones that they do the skiing and then they got to shoot and then they go skiing some more. Okay, so technically not actually sudden adult death syndrome. It was an undiagnosed cardiovascular condition, and then they just labeled it that because nobody can believe that an 18-year-old is going to have something like that. Happens. I mean, it's very, very sad that it happened, but it can happen. Oh, so back to what I was saying about the hospitals. We have so many little crazy specialized hospitals, and because they're all kind of in one small-ish location, or at least they were until a hurricane came through and scared the whole medical community and they started branching out into other spots. But they can always borrow a doctor from hospital A to go to hospital B and do their specific specialty at a different hospital, or they can bring the patient to the doctor. You might be checked in at MD Anderson Cancer Center, but then they find out that you need a liver transplant, and lo and behold, there's actually a match, and you're at a high enough risk that they need to do it. They'll drag you right over there and get it done. Or they'll drag the they'll drag the liver and the liver transplant specialist right over to your hospital, depending upon what cancer you've got. If you need to be in a completely clean room, it's all relative, but Glenn, howdy Glenn. How are you today, sir? How is Monday looking already? Are you that far ahead of me already? I can't believe I almost got Martin to read your slogan on his show. Almost. Monday is here. That's all he has to report. Okay, well, damn. Oh, and in case y'all missed it, yes, Martin read the quote I typed in that says, "Wombat crap is square." And Glenn says he makes square shit round. And he got right up to the word shit and stopped. And I thought it was funny because Glenn was laughing about it. Howdy, Dave. I can field partially this answer for you. Gary, Glenn does make Falcon Bowls. Or at least he has in the past. Some of them are fantastic. By the way, Dave, how was the birthday? So Gary, as far as the shipping, I have no clue. That would probably be between you and Glenn. But you can expect shipping to be historically astronomical in today's society. So he says he can't make you one right now because he doesn't have the materials. Hey, I can understand that statement. Boris, I did not know that this was actually Finland's first Euro finals win. I thought that they had won at least one before. Oh God, you've got him addicted, Glenn. I wanted beef on a piece of toast, I would just cook a burger. I'll agree with that. Yes, I'm weird. 1-0 to England. I was pretty sure England was going to win. Well, unlike y'all who hide your names, I put my name out there. I just hide my location very well by taking care to make sure it doesn't end up as public knowledge. Really? I thought for certain I had seen the Finnish team there before, but I guess I hadn't. I gotta tell you, I love this community. Howdy, Everett. Good morning. The way that we respond to each other, I mean, we sometimes pick on each other and such as that, but for the most part, it's all in good fun. But when somebody's got a question, we really put together and we try to get them a good answer. Also, I'm sorry about the cicadas. They're up this morning. So, before everybody goes off to doing whatever else they're doing for the day, y'all remember Steve and Kathy. They should be on later, right about noon my time. And right now it is 9:19, so call it about 3 hours from now. Well, Glenn, is that going to be a laterally chambered paper tube tobacco smoking device, or is that going to be an actual bowl? I mean, if it's going to be Glenn's last smoke before he goes to bed, okay, if you just have it as a, let us know when you're done and I'll be getting off of here about then. I'm not going to try and run people off just because this bowl's almost done. This coffee has been gone for a while. But it's not in a Starbucks cup. Hey, look, it's a shirt that I got because somebody else went to Disney World. And they just wanted to remind me that they had fun while I was at home working my ass off. Wasn't that great? Actually, I just blindly reached into the drawer and grabbed out a shirt and put it on. Then I put my glasses on, then I put a hat on. Luckily, I remembered to put something on my butt before I came down to have a nice bowl. Oh, yeah. Glenn is about the first person to see sunrise every day in the YTPC that I know of. There's a few other Aussies, though. The Aussie YTPC chapter is growing quite well. Yes, Mr. Steve, or Mr. Freeze, Steve and Kathy are great people. I really enjoy their show. Everett just lit some Carter Hall. Now, is that the new Dominican version or is that the old school stuff? And I'm with Drop Bear on that one. It hits 11 o'clock at night. If you are not my wife, that phone is not going to ring. Yes, but Glenn, it starts with just 3 or 5. Remember, Sturgis started with just 9 people. There's so many people that show up from the world to Sturgis nowadays that quite literally you can't find a hotel within 100 miles of the place. I'll agree with that, Glenn. And then there was Cheeseburger 79, but I think he works on opposite schedules of you, so I almost never see y'all on at the same time. And now there's what, Bree or Bry, who is saying he's up in the Brisbane area also. Well, nobody's more special than Dave, the birthday boy. Of course, that was Friday. It's no longer his birthday. Yeah, I tried to do Chad's 4-4 challenge thing. I can't come up with answers to 3 of his questions. If y'all have missed it, go to Yardism and just scroll down through his list. you'll see the 4-4 challenge. That's 4/4, not April 4th. So Glenn, that's why I love having my wife. She's a logistics expert and always finds ways to get me out of paying for shipping. Because it's the biggest scam on the planet. Just saying. Howdy, Sharon. Yes, I'm okay. At least I think I'm okay. How's Paul? Is Paul coming in? Unlike the 5 for 6, yes. Yes, I agree with you there, Dave. It is a worldwide conspiracy. And she works for a Chinese company, so you would not believe what other worldwide conspiracies we know about. Here's one for you. When Harvey came through, Harvey was a big, huge, super rain event here in the Houston area. Literally flooded everything. The company she worked for would not approve working from home. Did not approve it at all. Would not let it happen. Everybody still had to report to the office. Sometimes that's a little difficult when you can't get there because it's surrounded by a moat. Well, 2019 comes around, and about September of 2019, this same company tells everybody to start testing out that they need to be able to work from home. They need to make sure to have all of the equipment so that they can truly work from home. If they needed extra computer screens or a better Wi-Fi router or whatever, they had to come up with that themselves, but they had to make sure to have all that equipment at their own home. And then October comes through. This is still 2019, remember. And it's still previous of when everybody in the world found out about this virus that they're calling Corona or COVID-19. And, October, finally November, when all of this information starts coming out about Corona and Trump locks down America from overseas travel and this, that, the other, and everybody's losing their shit. And this company has already been instilling it so that their people can work from home. Hey, it's conspiracy, right? Well, you call it what you want to call it. Okay. It is very hot today here also, Sharon. I woke up, it was 90 degrees already. And not going to get much cooler. Alright, so as I had indicated, now that Glenn is finally leaving us, I figured I'd hang out with him long enough for him to have that quick little tobacco tube that he is so fond of. And I've been on almost an hour and a half. And I'd like another cup of coffee, and I'm not going to make y'all sit around while I go make a cup of coffee. So I'm going to be getting out of here myself. Please remember, as always, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Do the best you can on that. It's not always easy, but I know we do very, very well at it. So let's just continue that tradition. Horizontal disposable tobacco burning device. Yes, yes. Good day, Glenn, because it's now morning for you. And y'all take care, as per always. Long lives, big bowls, and long ashes. Y'all take care, and I will see you soon. Hopefully. Bye now.